Thanks for staying with us. Moving on now to Daily Sun. Ningi, Northern Senators, Governors mount pressure. Kuka to Tinubu design template for healing Nigeria. NDLE intercepts Qatar-bound illicit drugs concealed in African salad, dried vegetables. Gunmen rob set ablaze luxury bus with 59 passengers on board. Why Ashon LP convention says Obi. Police said IPOP ESN in Enugu. FG to provide 2.5 million prepaid meters in 5 years. Serap gives Sani 8 other 7 days to account for 5.9 trillion naira and 4.6 trillion naira loans. Okay, which story?
So I think we should start. Let me start with this terrible new trend, this terrorist attack on passengers. So gunmen rob set ablaze luxury bus with 59 passengers on board. That's terrible. So it says it was a narrow escape for 59 passengers on board an Abakaliki-bound luxury bus on Good Friday night when armed robbers attacked them at Ijebu Ode, Ogun State, and set the vehicle ablaze. The daredevil robbers had earlier stripped them of their belongings and locked the vehicle from outside before touching it. But what would have been the most horrific robbery scene in recent time turned out not to be, as the passengers were said to have smashed the windows and jumped out of the bus before it was completely consumed by the raging inferno. Thank God. And one of the passengers said that they stripped them of their dresses, they beat them mercilessly, and then they forced everybody back into the bus, locked the bus, and then put it ablaze. That's really terrible. So the head of the luxury bus, the head of the transport companies said that this is no longer armed robbery. This is now a terrorist attack. Yes. And the earlier the federal government naps this in the bud, the better for everybody, because it's not a new trend where you now, after robbing people, you now
set them on
that's like but 59 people, that's a lot. And now with the high cost of transportation, flying and everything, people are now trying to use the buses, right? So
really
you understand what's going on.
Heinous at the highest level. Okay, another story in the Daily Sun. Minister of Power Adebayo Adelabu yesterday disclosed the federal government's plan to bridge the reported meter gap with the provision of 2 million in the next 5 years. The minister who disclosed this yesterday in Ibadan said that it will be available to homes, business outlets, and others nationwide, thus filling up the gap. He added that the president's administration was working tirelessly to make life comfortable for energy users nationwide. Adelabu also stated that part of the measures initiated by the president is the formation of the Presidential Meter Initiative, which is aimed at putting other initiatives under one umbrella. So that's good news. That at least 2 million is not a lot, really, compared to what our demands are, but at least it's the starting point. The next 5 years, we should get at least 2 million prepaid meters.
Major
headline.
Yes, the Ningi crisis with the Senate president. Aside the northern senators, now you have the northern governors joining to make peace. So they are actually blaming the 3 senators from the south, Senator Bamidele, Senator Olamileko, and Jimo Ibrahim of Ondo, as being those who mounted pressure, who puts fire in the firewood, who poured petrol on the fire for the Senate president. They had insisted that the apology of Ningi should not be accepted. He deliberately lied against the Senate by saying that there were 2 budgets being, enforced. Padded, that the budget was padded, there were 2 budgets being executed by the executive. But these governors are saying that this would not have gotten to this point. And they are trying as much as they can to see that, Senator Ningi his suspension is lifted and that he resumes back.
I want to take the story of NDLEA. Apparently, a Qatar-bound passenger on just last week Thursday was attempting to carry 10.7 kilograms of cannabis hidden within dried African salad, abacha. And they caught her at the MMI, International Airport, MMA. Her name is Chidima Agbazwe. Chidima Agbazwe is her name. They also reported a situation where they found 2 suspects. They were caught with different types of drugs. They were caught with 842,000 560 pills of opioid, tramadol, about 15 liters of codeine, 569 grams of molly, and the guy Okeke tried to bribe the NDLE officer with 5 million naira cash. Both the drugs, the 2 men, as well as the cash have been confiscated. And this is thumbs up to the NDLE officer. I wish we mentioned, but I know there are many upright NDLE officers, and we need to celebrate them because it's not easy to turn down a 5 million naira bribe in this economy. And so we applaud all NDLE officers for the good work they are doing. There were several other reports about Bayelsa, the drug bin, people that were caught in Bayelsa. There are different types of drugs apparently, and all of them are being pushed in different society. Hard ones and the traditional ones and the ones that are in pill form. Let's just educate our children. And then the cannabis is more like it's leaf. So,
okay, are we done with Daily Sun?
Yes, we are.
Moving on quickly now to Vanguard. Recapitalization, banks sweat over exclusion of 3.8 trillion naira retained profit. Why Nigeria's oil belongs to the north by Usman Bugaji. Our leaders behave like men in drunken stupor, says Kuka. Tinubu's aide, Tanko in verbal war with Peter Obi. Easter, Obi others give other task for Christians on love and sacrifice. Excuse me. Eco Disco, Dr. Tunade holds fort as MD CEO. NSIA to governor, stop asking Tinubu to curb insecurity in your state. And Okwama residents trapped in forest send SOS to Tinubu and Oborevori.
Okay, so I have Dr. Tunade's story. So the Eco Disco MD, according to the Vanguard said they have run their checks and all the facts indicate that Dr. Sonda, who clocked 2 years in office on March 30, remains in charge of Eco Disco, even though all the drama that we read the past weeks. They said that she's an accomplished professional with, 22 years of extensive experience in financial management with a doctor's in financial management and entrepreneurship and a master's in business administration. But since she assumed office at the Disco, she has achieved remarkable milestones. It says she has had the highest ever monthly collection of 15 billion and the lowest ever ATC and SIC losses of 15.69%. That's this success relaunched. She successfully relaunched the meter asset provider MAP scheme and the installation of 110 transformers within the Ecodisco network to alleviate overload challenges, just to name a few. She's also was one of those who first of all opened her financial statement in 2022 to the public, and she's continued to set more milestones. I'm happy that she remains the MD. She's deserving of it.
Congratulations to her.
Well done.
Okay, so Professor Ishak Oloyede, who is also Registrar of JAM, that's the Joint Administration Matriculation Board, and also the Secretary General of the Supreme Council of Islamic Affairs, NSCIA. He has lampooned the governors for seeking the federal government intervention to tackle security challenges within their states. According to him, the president alone cannot handle every situation in the country, hence the need for all 36 governors to look inward and fashion out local means of neutralizing criminal elements and end banditry in their various jurisdictions. He was saying this while giving a Ramadan lecture titled Duties of Muslim Citizens in National Development in Ikole Ekiti.
So, the story of the sad incident that happened in Asaba, residents of Ukwama and Osumosu and other communities in Ugili are crying out. They sent a signal to the president that following the killing of 17 soldiers on the 14th of March and the later clearance, the army clearance operation within the community, many of the community members ran into the forest and they are dying within the forest, dying of hunger, lack of medical attention. They have complained that they need medical care, that too many people, old people are dying in the hiding places. The residents have struggled to get in touch with leadership within the community, and they've sent a message to the governor, they've sent a message to the president, and they've also asked the Niger Delta Democratic Union, NDDU, and Warri-based lawyer to demarcate the boundaries of the communities, because some people were not involved in this. Their communities are different, but they don't have the, they can't go to their places, and that if the NDDU put a proper demarcation, it would stem the communal crisis that has been rocking the community, putting a permanent end to the issues within that community. So I'm hoping that there'll be a swift response from the government side to the challenges happening to these people within the area of Ugili South community. Moving
on now to the Nigerian Tribune, our final paper. Again, Jim Ibrahim says I'm most qualified. You see this picture, before I even go into the stories, the picture already, you know, there's a lot of things that it speaks about, you know, because it's about his certificates, and it's so important that he puts the international ones ahead, Oxford, Cambridge, you know, Buckingham, and then he puts UOAU bottom right. And then there had to be a picture of a white woman next to him just to give it validation.
Yeah,
you know. And these are things, it's quite subtle, but it's a reminder of how we make it look at foreign is always more important and more and more valued. And it goes from the head, from all of us, even leaders. We all do it in different ways, but if it is reinforced again by the leaders, these things are subtle, but we should just pay attention to it, that he's just trying to validate his credentials by putting a picture of himself and a white woman, just to show that now you both give me secret certificate. Anyways, listed commercial banks may require combined 2.8 trillion naira to meet capital requirements, says report. We are reaping what we sowed yesterday. Nigerian leaders are like men in a drunken stupor, says Kuka. Ekiti indigenes sue government over airport project, demand contract documents and financial details. Okay.
So, based on fresh analysis from no, I have the
go ahead.
2.8 trillion. So based on the fresh reports from the Lagos-based Afri Invest West Africa Limited has estimated that, you know, certain listed banks would require 2.8 trillion to meet the new baseline that the CBN has set. The CBN sets a minimum capital requirement for lenders in the country to mitigate the impact of external and domestic shocks, and the First Bank mandated a minimum of 500 billion, 200 billion, and 50 billion for commercial banks with international, national, and regional license, respectively. So, international 500 billion, national 200 billion, regional licenses 50 billion. The CBN also set baseline for merchant banks at 50 billion and non-interest banks at 20 billion, regional at 10 billion. Specified that minimum capital for existing banks should comprise only paid-up capital and share premium. And they went inside the story to indicate that only one bank can, at this time, as in buy, make it to that amount. The other banks, they named them. They said those ones need to join Parakmo. I don't want to name them.
Please.
To raise
Send me that report. I need to go and study the banks.
Yes.
So I know where my money is and see who is merging with who. We're all kind of nervous.
But I was shocked that one of these red bank did not meet.
Let's go on a break.
Shock, cash me.
Let's go on a break. When we come back, we continue with the show. It's our Easter special. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.